Hello, everybody. My name is Max, and welcome to another B2 First speaking lesson. In this lesson, we're going to take a look at lots of questions in part one, and we're going to see how we can answer them completely. Also, we're going to take a look at some of the languages that we can use in order to answer them, but we're going to take a look at full answers, and also you're going to practice a lot throughout this lesson. So without any hesitation, let's begin. All right, we've got a couple of questions here, as you can see, which we expect to have in part one. Now, I want you to take a look at these questions. Let's read them together. And after that, I want you to just pause this video, try to answer these questions. You can also pause every time I read the question, and you can try to answer the questions with your own words, with your own languages that you've learned, and try to see how you can answer it. Then we're going to take a look at lots of sample answers for these questions as well. Of course, these are not the only questions we're going to work on in this lesson. We're going to work on maybe more than 20 questions in this lesson. So let's take a look at them one by one. Okay, so the first question, which we said it lots of times, where are you from? What do you like about living there? What sort of things do you do in your free time? Which country would you most like to visit? In what ways do you think you will use English? All right. Did you answer them? Fantastic. Now let's go to these answers together. Now we're going to do something. We're going to listen to part one of the test, speaking test. Two students, they're going to answer some of these questions, not all of them, most of them. We've got Hanif and Yara, which they're going to answer these questions. Now, what I want you to do right now is I want you to listen carefully to what they say. They're not very good as students. They are average. One of them is not a good as students. One of them is a good, not really good, but a B2 level, acceptable at B2 level. And I want you to find out which one is an acceptable B2, which one is not a really good as students. Of course, the one that I'm saying is acceptable has some mistakes as well, so don't worry about that. Just try to check this audio file and see how they're answering the questions. And when you're answering, when you're listening to their answers, what I want you to do is try to take a look at these sentences down here. I want you to see which one of them sound quite confident. I want you to answer with yes or no. That's all. For example, Hanif, no, your yes or no. Is generally easy to understand. Gives a full answer to the questions, use quite a wide range of language, is polite to the examiner, and probably gets a good mark for part one. Okay? So as you're listening to the questions and their answers, try to just write yes or no. And at the end, we're going to take a look at everything together. Okay, let's listen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jennifer, and this is my colleague, Stephen. And your names are?
I'm Hanif.
My name is Yara.
Can I have your mark sheets, please?
Here you are.
Please.
Thank you. Where are you from, Hanif?
From Rabat, is capital of Morocco.
And you, Yara?
I come from Brazil, and my town, it is called Santos, is in the coast, not far off Sao Paulo.
First, we'd like to know something about you. Yara, what do you like about living in your hometown?
Well, it is much smaller than Sao Paulo, so is more quiet, and the people is more friendly too. Also, there is the wonderful beaches where you can do surf.
And what about you, Hanif?
There is many beautiful buildings and the monuments, but is town modern too.
Okay. And what sort of things do you do in your free time?
Pardon?
What sort of things do you do in your free time?
Oh, I like stay with friends, We go sometimes for sport or seeing any movie in cinema.
And what about your free time, Yara? What sort of things do you do?
I like best to go to nice places with my friends, like the gardens by the beach. Is, I think, the most longest in the world. Many people enjoy taking the bicycle there, though I prefer go by foot. Is really lovely.
Okay. Now, thinking about the future, in what ways do you think you will use English?
I'll do business studies at the university, and for that I need to know English well. As well as that, I want to travel in Europe and North America, that are countries where English is very important.
And you, Hanif, in what ways do you think you will use English?
Same, really. For study and the travel is very important, the English for me.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, as you could see, one of them was answering a little bit longer. Now, we don't care about the language right now. We just want to see whether they were sound, let's say, quite confident. We're going to take a look at the length of their answers. They both had lots of grammatical mistakes, which is fine. One thing that I told you is that whenever you have some, let's say, grammatical mistakes, okay, as long as the examiner understands and your communication is, let's say, achieved and we can understand what you're saying, you're not going to lose point unless there is a misunderstanding. I'm not understanding what you're saying because of your grammatical mistakes. In that case, you're going to lose point, like Hanif. He had some mistakes, he had some grammatical mistakes, which leads to misunderstanding. And that kind of grammatical mistakes, probably because of them, he's going to lose some points. Now, let's take a look at these sentences and let's see which one of them was yes or no. So here are the answers. So as you could see, Hanif was not really confident. He was sounding a little bit nervous or not really sure about his answers. Now we have a lesson in our pronunciation course, which will talk about this in details of how you can sound more confident. It's related to your intonations. Now, don't worry about it. When you reach to the pronunciation course, you will take a look at that as well. But Yara, she was sounding somehow a little bit more confident. And Hanif, as we've said, because of some of the grammatical mistakes or pronunciation, it was not really easy to understand what he's saying. But Yara, no, Yara had also some grammatical mistakes, but again, you could understand what she's saying, so not a big problem. Also, giving full answers to the questions, you could see that Hanif was not really giving the same length as Yarosh. He was trying to just saying something and just that's it, not just trying to give full answers. On the other hand, Yara was trying to give full answers to the questions, trying to add more reasons to it, try to give explanations to the answers, which is really good, and use quite a wide range of language. Again, Hanif was not answering quite well, whereas Yara was using some languages about future, about present, and tried to change the tenses. And both of them were polite, which is sound good. You should not sound rude. You should be polite to the examiner. And also, which one of them is going to get a better score? Definitely, Yara is going to get a better score in part one. And the reason why is because she did way better. She tried to answer longer, even though she had some mistakes. That is still fine. She's going to get a good score in part one, and definitely acceptable B2. Now you might say, Max, the answers was not really good. What are you saying? Yeah, true, it was not good, but it's still, if you look at the criteria that we talked about, it is acceptable for a B2, but not C1 for sure. Now let's take a look at more questions and more answers like this. All right, we've got a couple of questions here as well. Let's take a look at these questions. And again, I want you to pause the video, try to answer them yourself. And then we're going to take a look at some sample answers together as well. So the first question says, could you tell us about your family? Not tell yous, not tell us. Could you tell us about your family? The next question is, what kind of things do you do in your free time? What kind of work do you do? Could you tell us a bit about your studies? Now, I want you to pause the video, try to answer these questions, and try to record yourself as well. You can also record yourself if you want. You can listen to it afterwards. And after that, we're going to take a look at the answers. Okay. Now, we're going to listen to these answers. And you also can see here the recording script, which is really good. So you can also listen and read. Now we're going to talk about, after you listen, we're going to talk about all the languages they use. We're going to see what kind of things you can say in order to answer these questions and why these answers are acceptable. So let's listen and see what they say.
Okay, could you tell us something about your family, Elisa?
Yes, I live with my mother, who's a scientist, and my younger brother, Nikolai. He's starting at the same university as me this September.
And your family, Francesco?
There's my mother and father, and my two sisters, Georgia and Sarah. They all live at home, but these days I have my own flat.
Elisa, what kind of things do you do in your free time?
I have to do a lot of homework, but when I have some spare time, I like to go to the theater or a concert, or I read at home, either to increase my knowledge or just for pleasure. That's what I'll be doing later this evening, actually.
And what about your free time, Francesco? What sort of things do you do?
I spend quite a lot of time on my computer, reading newspapers in English and looking at interesting websites, things like that. Though sometimes I go out with friends in the evening, if I'm not doing overtime, that is.
And what kind of work do you do?
I work in manufacturing. I started out as an ordinary employee, but now I'm in management. I have a lot of responsibilities, but I'm sure there will be some good opportunities in the future if I work hard.
Tell us about your studies, Elisa.
I'm in my second year of an engineering course, and when I graduate, I'm going to do a research degree. That's partly because I enjoy studying, but also because these days I think it's very important to get as many qualifications as possible. I'm hoping I'll have finished my studies by the time I'm 26.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. So look at the first question. Could you tell us something about your family? So she started with, I live with my mother, and then giving some extra information, like who is a scientist or who is a scientist. And my younger brother, Nikolai, is starting at the same university. You see, she's trying to give more details about the family. And as we mentioned in part one, you don't need to just give a very detailed answer. The answer should be quite short and brief, but not really short. We don't want a yes/no answer. Yes or no, like just saying, yes, I live with my family. That's it. No. And Francesco also answered like that, answered somehow looked like that, talking about mother, father, and two sisters. And the next question, what kind of things do you do in your free time? So the first answer was, Elisa said, I have to do a lot of homework, but when I have some spare time, you see, not just saying always free time, free time, free time, spare time as well, using other vocabulary, not repeating the examiner. One thing I think I didn't mention is do not repeat the question. If the examiner asks you a question, don't just answer with the question. Okay, well, the kind of things I do in my free time. No, don't say that. That's the question. You don't want to like use your time that you have to copy the same words in the question. No, you should just try to create your own answer without using the words in the question, and try to just create a new type of answer, as she did. And then she tried to just give it more options. I have some spare time. I like to go to the theater or concert, or I read at home. Now, the next language, look at this language, using paired conjunctions, either to increase my knowledge or just for pleasure, talking about two things, two options that you do. That's what I'll be doing later this evening. Actually, very good answer. And the next one, Francesco, the same question, what sort of things do you do in your free time? And he answered, I spend quite a lot of time on my computer, reading newspapers in English and looking at interesting websites. Again, as you can see, he's not copying the same words or phrases. Things like that, though sometimes I go out with my friends in the evening if I'm not doing overtime, that is. Which is, again, a very good answer. Try to just give it more details. Try to try to add more things into his answer. And this is very good. The next one, what kind of work do you do? Talking about work, he started saying what he does, and then a little bit giving it more information about it. Like, for example, he says, I have a lot of responsibilities, but I'm sure there will be some good opportunities in the future if I work hard. And this is a conditional, which is really good. If I do this, I'll do this. Or if I do this, I'll have this in the future, which is very good. Using conditionals also, it's really good to get some good points in this part. And Alicia also is answering, like, I'm in my second year of engineering course, which is also starting pretty good. You see, there's a flow. And when I graduate, I'm going to do a research degree. And that's partly because, you see, reason now. Why? That's partly because I enjoy studying, but also because these days, I think, again, she's giving more and more and more reasons why she's doing it. And because she says it's very important to get as many qualifications as possible. I'm hoping I'll have finished. Oh, look at the last one, which is a perfect language. This is the future perfect. I'll have finished my studies by the time I'm 26. When do we use future perfect? You can use future perfect whenever you want to say that an action in the future will be done or will be finished by a specific time in the future. It means it's going to be completed in, let's say, future. For example, imagine you have to pay for your car, and at the end of the year, you're going to just finish it. So you can use future perfect to explain that. I'll have finished paying my car's mortgage by the end of the year. Now, she's using it the same to talk about her studies. I'm hoping I'll have finished my studies by the time I'm 26, which is fantastic. Okay, now let's go to the next question. Let's see what questions we have here. It says, what's shopping like in the area where you live? So again, I want you to pause the video, answer this question, and then we're going to take a look at a sample answer. Okay, did you do it? Fantastic. Let's go. So again, we're going to listen to the question. Peter and Irene, she's going to answer the question and he's going to answer the same question. So let's see what they say and how they answer this question, and then we're going to take a look at their answers and the languages they used as well.
Peter, what's shopping like in the area where you live?
I'm not sure, because I don't do a lot of shopping, at least not where I live. There's a place where they sell snacks and takeaways that I quite like. I've been there a few times with my mates, and I guess the shopping must be pretty good because my mum and dad do all the shopping locally and they never complain.
And Irene, what's shopping like in the area where you live?
I think it's really good. My dad and I love cooking together at weekends and doing these really exotic dishes. And there are plenty of shops in the area which sell good vegetables, food from different parts of the world, and spices and things. So we can find all our ingredients locally. My dad's a great cook. I'm learning a lot from him and we have a great time together.
Perfect. Okay, so as you can see, Peter was not sure what to say at first. So he just bought some time for himself to think a little bit and then is starting his answer. Like, I'm not sure because I don't do a lot of shopping, at least not where I live. So now he bought some time to think. Now he can try to answer the question with something that he can create in his mind. Remember, you can create imaginary answers. Don't be just, oh, it has to be 100% real. No, as long as it sounds real, you can lie. All right. I'm not saying lie in the way that the examiner understands that's 100% a lie, but you can just create an imaginary answer. Imagine what's shopping like in the area where you live. It's not really good, but you say it's really good. Now the examiner is not going to just come to your house and check it. So don't worry about that. Just try to create an answer. Even though it's not real, you're not going to lose any points as long as it doesn't sound really crazy. You say something really crazy, like Elon Musk every day comes to my house and gets me, for example, food. Like, come on, that's not real. So that's not going to be a good answer. But here, as we mentioned, so he's trying to talk about the things that he's doing when he's shopping. For example, there's a place where they sell snacks and takeaways. You see two good words, sell snacks, takeaways. And I quite like, I've been there a few times with my mates. And I guess the shopping must be pretty good because my mom and dad do all the shopping locally and they never complain. So you see, he's a little bit talking about his parents here as well, so that he can just add more details to his answers. The same as Irene, she's trying to talk about her family and try to connect it to the language, to the question. Like she said, I think it's really good. My dad and I love cooking together at weekends and doing these really exotic dishes. You see a good word, exotic dishes. Using languages that is related to the question. The question is about shopping, and she's trying to connect shopping to cooking, cooking to exotic dishes. And there are plenty of shops using plenty of, not just using a lot of, in the area which sells good vegetables, food from different parts of the world, and spices and things. So we can find all our ingredients locally. Again, you see a lot of words that are related to each other. Spices, ingredients. These are all vocabulary referring to cooking, shopping. My dad's a great cook. I'm learning a lot from him and we have a great time together. So she connects it, the cooking to the shopping and shopping to something that she's learning from her dad, and that's fantastic. So the answer is pretty good and let's say organized to the end. Let's go to the next part. We've got more questions. What is your favorite subject at school? How do you think you'll use English in the future? I think we take a look at, we talked about the second question. But that's not a problem. We're going to take a look at other types of answers for the same question so you learn more. Okay, now I want you to pause the video again, try to answer these questions for yourself, and then we're going to take a look at a sample answer. All right, did you do it? Fantastic. So let's take a look at it, a sample answer, and see what this answer consist of? We've got so many languages also in this, so let's try to listen first and then we'll talk.
Nikolai, what is your favourite subject at school?
I find biology very interesting. That's because I enjoy all science subjects a lot, and if I can get good enough marks in my final exams, I'll study medicine when I go to university. Also, I've got a really excellent biology teacher who makes the subject much more fun.
And you, Martina, how do you think you'll use English in the future?
Well, I think English is an absolute necessity now, and you just can't get by without it. It'll help me to find a job, and if my work involves traveling, it'll really be essential. I'd like to work in business, and I think English is really necessary for that too.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's take a look at the first answer. What is your favorite subject at school? And so look how he started it. Instead of saying like, I love biology, he said something like, I find biology very interesting, which is a very good language. Say, you find something interesting, you find something boring. So you can say it that way. And then adding more details. Like that's because you start just giving some reasons. I enjoy all science subjects a lot. And if, now here using conditionals again, we said if you use conditionals, you can get some extra points. If I get good enough marks in my final exam, I'll study medicine when I go to university. So here again, conditionals. This is the first conditional. We talked about all conditionals in grammar course, so you can see that as well. If you don't know how to use conditionals, you don't know about the conditionals, you can take a look at the grammar course that we have. But don't worry, it's all explained there. Here is the first conditionals, which we talk about present situation and a future result. Then again, he's adding more details. Also, I've got a really excellent biology teacher. Now using relative clauses, who makes the subject much more fun. Using who to connect or add more information about the teacher. This is called the relative clauses. Also, we have a grammar lesson about this. It's not difficult to use relative clauses in your answers, but it's going to get you some good marks in this part. The next question, how do you think you'll use English in the future? So you start answering with like, I think English is an absolute necessity. You see how you're using like putting words together using adjectives next to each other, and you can't get by without it. You see, using phrasal verbs here. It'll help me to find a job. Again, conditionals. We can see here, if my work involves traveling, it'll really be essential. Again, using conditionals to talk about a present and a future result. Then saying I'd like to work in business. Again, talking about what you like and why it is connected to English. So you see, you can say something and connect it to use English in that. So I'd like to work in business, and I think English is really necessary for that too. You see, talking about creating is some kind of a condition or a situation, and then connecting that to the future and saying why that is important for me in the future, and it will help me to use English in that area. Like she said, I want to work in business, and you know that in the future, if I want to study business, I'll have to use English in that area, so that it's very necessary to learn English and use it in the future. So this is another sample. Now let's go to the next part. Here we've got some questions as well, which again, what I want you to do here, I want you to pause the video, try to read these questions. I'm going to read them, of course, for you. But what I want you to do is, as a practice for this part, I put just some languages up there for you, some vocabulary, some phrases that is going to help you to create the answers. We're not going to take a look at any answers for these questions. This is just for you, and I want you to just create your answers for them. But I just gave you some hints, some good answers, not answers, some keywords to answer these questions with them, and creating your own answer with them. So let's take a look at the first question is, what is shopping like in the area where you live? Which we talked about that. Tell us about a shop you visited recently. Why did you go there? Again, look at the things, words that we put there. You can use them. Which shops in your area are the most attractive? Why? The next question, what's the best time of the year to go shopping in your town? Tell us about something you really enjoy buying. Do you prefer buying things in shops or online? Why? Now, you can answer these questions using a bargain, brand, competitive, a consumer, a counter, a debit card, to purchase, the sales, in the stock, out of a stock, unavailable. You can answer them using these words. For example, a bargain, you can say, for example, you can find pretty cheap stuff there, which is a bargain. Bargain is something that is, for example, you can find something pretty cheap. You can say that's a bargain. Brand, you can talk about the branding. For example, the questions that says, which shops in your area are the most attractive? You can talk about the things that they have, the brands they have. Or the other one was, for example, which shops in your area are most attractive? We said that. Tell us about the shop you visited recently. Why did you go there? Again, why did you go there? You can answer it like because of the brand they have or because of the bargain. And then competitive, you can talk about the prices are competitive, really good. Or you are a consumer there, you want to just go there. A counter, a debit card, for example, debit card, you can use it for online. The last question, do you prefer buying things in shops or online? You can say, well, I can use my debit card, I can use my credit card because I can get some points, so I prefer to shop online. Also, you can use the word purchase instead of using buy. You can use the verb purchase, which sounds formal. The sales, also you can talk about, again, when somebody asks you about the shop, you can talk about the sales. This, for example, let's say shop, you can find lots of good things in sale, in stock, out of stock. For the last question, again, prefer buying things in shops or online. You can say, for example, when I'm buying things online, I can find many things in the stock, but when I'm in the shop, probably lots of things are out of stock, so I cannot find them physically there. So it's better to just order them online because they are not available there or unavailable in shops, but I can find them online. So you see, just gave you some hints how to answer these questions, but you have to create your own answers right now. Try to pause the video, do this. And you can also, after you finish this video, there's going to be another section, which I put a lot of questions as well for part 1, which you can also practice them again with yourself and try to record your voice, listen to them, and use all the things that we talked about throughout these lessons in order to create your own answers for part 1. And remember, practice is the best thing. You have to just record and try to listen to your own voice again and again and again, and try to make your answers better using more grammatical structures. We have a grammar section, which you can go there and just try to take a look at all the grammatical structures that we talked about. You can put them in your speaking to make your answers better. But with the things that we mentioned, definitely you can just get a very good score in part 1. Now, in the next video, we're going to talk about part 2, and we're going to learn a lot of good things about part 2, how to do part 2, how to compare the pictures, and everything about part 2. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next lesson.